Hey, hello? Wow. Oh, no, no. Too bad. Hey, DJ. Oh, yeah, hey. Oh. Hey, DJ, come on. Hey, come on. Oh, baby. Come on. Hey, come on. Come on, DJ. Hey, give me. Oh, yeah. Hey, DJ, come on. Oh, yeah. Come on. Come on, DJ. Hey, oh yeah. Hey, DJ, come on. Go. Oh